Last week we went for a job. It's a job advertised, see, because I've had a lot of jobs. When I left school first, I went as an Undertaker's assistant. I was only 14. And I had to go in and lay this woman out. Oh, Christ. But I come up and I said to the boss, this woman down there, she got a prawn in her fanny. He said, that's not a prawn, it's a clitoris. I said, well, it tastes like a prawn. That's the one I'm going to do on Desert Corner next time. Then I was a milkman. When I was a milkman, I was doing the round one morning with the light on. I thought I'd collect my money, and the man came out. He said, oh, Jethro, he said, I'd come for my money. I said, I'm sorry to bother you early. He said, don't worry. He said, we're having an all-night party, he said. He said, we're playing the game now. He said, all the men go in one room and take their trousers off, pull their shirt up over their head, and the women got to go in and guess who they are. And he said, your name been mentioned 4 times up to now. But ladies and gentlemen, I've been asked tonight if I'd sing a beautiful song for you. And as you know, I come from a long line of singers. In fact, I was orchestrated as a very young child. And I had a rough start, because when I left being a milkman, we went for a job on the farm, me and Slip-Along Travascus. And the farmer said, now this is the milking machine. And he said, the milk go in the teats, up around across the rafters and in the tank. He said, on this, his wife came in. She said, you want it on the phone. I thought, Christ, that bloody milking machine, with all that suction and vibrating, I thought, I'm going to try that bugger. Well, see, I got me cock in the milking machine, and Slip-Along started it up. I said, Christ, this isn't bad, Slip-Along. When I finish, I shan't have to cuddle it either. I said, that'll about do. Turning off. He said, this isn't the turning off switch. I said, where's that? He said, can't find it. 3 3/4 hours I was there. He said, I'll go and get the farmer. He come back, he said, the farmer said, don't worry, you switch yourself off when the tank's full. Now, is there any policeman in? Bloody police, he sounds Scottish, didn't it? Say something else. Ooh, a Scottish policeman. When I want to hear from an asshole, I'll fart. Hell. And don't pick on me, mate. I'm a professional like your mother was. You know, it's funny. I must do. You always get one, a Scot. Shit. I was coming down from a week or two ago, and I got out the car for a piddle, and it's in the dark, and I was having the piddle, and everything started rattling. I thought I'd pissed on a sheet of galvanized. And I flashed my leather, and I pissed all over a Cornish pixie, all in his bells, in his hat. He said, you beastly bastard. He talked like that. He come from Penryn. I said, I never meant to piss on you, mate. I didn't know you was there. He said, yes, you did. And he said, I'm going to put a spell on you. Next time you're working in this area, he said, I'm going to send on the village idiot to keep shouting out while you're trying to tell jokes. Please. They stopped me coming up the road in Columpton, and out got the driver. He looked about 8. And they got them faces, Emma. And he come towards me like that. I thought, what a wanker. Then I thought, what a pity his father wasn't. He was fearless, too. He said, I want your name. I said, what am I going to use? He said, where was you between 7 and 11? I said, I was at primary school. But this morning, I've had a bit of luck today because I got a bloody dog, and I never did like the bloody thing. In fact, when the mother-in-law come round, she come round to see us every Saturday. For 17 years, she come around to see us every Saturday, but this week, as a special treat, we're going to let her in. Where we'll cut the tail off the dog so there'll be no apparent signs of welcome, you know. But this bloody dog, I've been trying to get rid of this dog, and lucky this morning, I caught the vicar having a wank. I said, I got a lovely picture here, Vicar, with your cock out. He said, you got to give me that picture. I said, no. Oh, no. I said, I took a picture. It's my picture. He said, what am I going to do? I said, you give me £50 for the dog, and I'll give you the picture. When he bought the dog, I had 50 quid, and he got home and said to his wife, he said, I got a new dog. Oh, she said, that's nice. She said, how much you give for that? He said, 50 quid. You have 50 quid? Somebody must have seen you coming. But, you know, I said to Denzel, I said, my wife is that bloody stupid, Denzel. You know what she done? She been out and bought a car because she liked the colour, a second-hand car. She liked the colour. She bought the bloody thing. She can't drive a car. She hasn't even got a garage. He said, you think that's bloody stupid? He said, my wife has just gone on holiday. She's took 6 boxes of condoms. She hasn't even got a cock. But I thought I was the best lover in the world when I started. I thought I was brilliant, and then I realized she had asthma. We had one of these dirty phone calls, one of these heavy breathers. He come on the phone, and she answered the phone. She was on about, this went on for an hour. In the end, this bloke said, excuse me, but he said, did I ring you or did you ring me? But, ladies and gentlemen, let's have a piss up, shall us? Because I've had 2 very unhappy marriages. My first wife died, and this bugger won't. But I always remember when I went, I've had a wonderful life, really, because when I took my baby in to be christened in the church, it was a lovely day. And the vicar, it was in June, all the leaves were on the trees. And her family and my family were all there. All my family sat this side. All the Muppets was over that side. With her mother in the front row with her legs scattered broad. And from her knees up, it looked like corned beef. But at least kept the flies off the baby. And I handed the baby to the vicar, and he said, what are you going to call the little boy? I said, actually, it's a little girl. I said, you're holding me thumb. But I went in when she had the twins, I went in the florist. I said, I want a bunch of flowers. My wife had just given birth to twins. Oh, he said, lovely. He said, do you want a vase to put them in? I said, no, we bought a pram.